Okay. All right, pimps and players. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston with a Problem. Well, got some pops out of No Labs and a company that shall not be named today. Bed Bath & Beyond. But, you know, if you're a billionaire, then you can buy an entire company for like $100 million. You might do that at some point in the near future. I'm still holding on my calls, even though they're worth spit compared to what I paid for them, because might as well. GameStop's earnings are tomorrow. Will they announce a profit? And if they announce a profit, will they announce a dividend? That'd be something to watch for. Also watch for them, no matter what they announce, to get hammered after hours by shorts, because that seems to be what they do every quarter in, quarter out. You make an announcement, shorts just hammer, and what are you going to do? Credit Suisse got bought by UBS. Still no word on if UBS is taking on the liabilities of Credit Suisse, which is in that case, if they are, they're just as screwed as Credit Suisse was. Some are saying Apollo has Credit Suisse's liabilities, which means Apollo's screwed. JP Morgan basically said that the commercial mortgage-backed securities are so bad right now that it's going to take all the banks down. So that contagion has just spread, and there's nothing the Fed's going to be able to do about it. So I think we're looking at more banks going under, and the Fed and the Treasury and the government going, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? And you'll notice also they did the dollar swaps between all the major banks. Basically, the Fed prints a whole bunch of dollars, trades them to central banks all over the world to shore up their banks. In return, we get a whole bunch of like useless monopoly money back that bolsters their currencies, because those currencies will no longer be in circulation. And because we're setting the dollars overseas, it's not really flooding the US with dollars, causing inflation here. But people have to use those US dollars to buy stuff from the US, so it helps us in the long run. Also leads to further US dollar hegemony as the global currency. So a lot going on, man. They've done that dollar swap thing a couple of times, most notably December 2007. They said, oh man, we need to get some liquidity going for all these foreign banks. Let's send a bunch of dollars overseas. And we all know what happened a couple months later. Bear Stearns, blink. And later that year, Lehman Brothers, blink. Washington Mutual, blink. Wachovia, blink. So there's trouble brewing. There's trouble brewing in that witch's cauldron. Okay. Bing. Okay. Off. Off. Everything's off. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that was my news roundup. I think I got it. We around that news. If you guys have any news, throw it my way so that I can stare at your words. Philip Clayton. Hey, Houston, happy birthday. Thoughts on which major banks will go belly up next? It sounds like First Republic Bank is doomed. That they're desperate. They're trying to hold on. They're trying to like convince people to leave other banks and come to them, which I think is not going to happen. So I don't think they're long for this world. There's probably a few other regional banks that are similar shape, but I don't know specifically which ones. But First Republic, I think, is done. Maybe they got a week. Maybe. G-Font. Fun fact, several T-bills in auction went for 0% yield. There's crazy demand for HQLA for the collateral process. Really? So that's how much people are wanting to get out of the market. that they're willing to take treasury bills at nothing in a market where you should be paying 4 to 5% on any bond you get. Ouch. Kelaji Houston, I was right about Credit Suisse bailout. I guess we're going to see Walmart and Swiss. Yeah, Credit Suisse is toast. They got bought by UBS at what, 27 cents or something like that. But it was still trading today. It went from 84 cents to like 94 cents during today's market. Makes no sense to me. I don't get it. So it is what it is, I guess. So I'm not sure how that worked out. You announced that they're sold, they're not part of UBS, but the stock is still trading somehow. It's beyond my pay grade why that's happening. Suvi Daddy. Isn't it odd how a lot of media is radio silent on the bankruptcy of Evergrande? Oh yeah, coming to find out, Tether is connected to Evergrande, so maybe a big boom this week. Really? Tether's connected to Evergrande? I did not. Tether, Evergrande. Evergrande is China's looming risk to Tether. This is September 17th, 2021. How did I not read this one? Okay, it's from CoinDesk. Let us read this together. Boom. 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 How did I miss this guy? Okay, whatever. Why are you doing the code for the page? Go away. Stablecoin issuer Tether this week declared it doesn't hold short-term debt issued by Chinese real estate developer Evergrande, since Tether doesn't disclose specifics about the commercial paper that substantially backs its stablecoin. This is a bit like serving a house guest a sandwich and loudly assuring them that it's not made from diseased horse meat. Seems increasingly likely Evergrande is faded instead for the glue factory, but could still take Tether with it depending on what's actually in the stablecoin sandwich. So basically Tether, this is a year and a half ago, is basically saying that they're the same boat the SVB was in. That they took depositors' holdings and they put it into crappy bonds that aren't worth anything anymore. And if you put $80 billion in bonds out there, and those bonds are now worth $10 billion, when the customers come calling for their money, when there's a run on Tether, that money's not going to be there anymore. And Tether depegs and becomes worthless. And if Tether depegs and becomes worthless, then every other crappy little coin out there becomes worthless. So, interesting. Okay. ZW talked dirt to me about bank collapses. I've been a huge fan of yours since episode 7. Keep up the great work. More banks are in trouble, and I don't know how the Fed is going to pay for bailing out these banks if they don't sell all those assets they picked up since 2020, the $8+ trillion in assets. I think it was 7.9, but then they added 300 billion. So it's $8+ trillion at this point. And if they sell those assets to pay for this stuff, then they're going to crash even more banks because the market will, and then they'll have to bail them out even more. But if they print a bunch of money, right, then inflation screams, and we're in a stagflation zone. So how are you going to pull that Band-Aid, man? You're going to rip it, and then everything goes to shit? Or are you going to like stick another Band-Aid on there and get a festering infected wound? I have no idea how they're going to work this out. I don't. I can't predict one way or the other. It's shit or get off the pot time, and I have a feeling they may get off the pot while shitting. It's just going to go everywhere. Phil Clayton, any update on the Citadel Air gentleman you spoke to previously? How is his defense going? Any plans to speak with him in the future? I've not spoke to him in a while. His Twitter still seems chipper as ever, and he's still tweeting under Citadel Air. So it's obviously Citadel hasn't won yet. I'll reach out and see what's happening. Suave Daddy. Gotta love Elon purchased Twitter. Imagine all the censorship that would have been going on right now if it wasn't for that dude. What censorship? Yeah. Chris Collins, obviously there's room for interpretation, but the 2 points I made from Finra filings, valid. Yes, they say non-trading in first, but in second filing, there says no evidence. Yeah, in what you pointed out quite accurately, in their filing, they said that there was no evidence there were short positions that would harm Rosa. And then in their frequently asked questions they released last week, they firmly stated there were short positions. So either they lied in their filing or they're lying now, which I think they're probably just liars in general. Somebody pointed out that FINRA may be torpedoing their own case because they know this thing can only get resolved with trading, but they don't want to be like, okay, we're going to trade this thing. They may want a legal ruling forcing them to do it. I thought that'd be kind of interesting. I don't know why you'd do it that way, but however it goes, I think it's the only solution is to trade MMTLP until there are no short shares, and then be done with it then. Comfy sofa, I'm here for the comedy. The only comedy I provide is accidental. Phil Clade watching Elon Musk backtrack when dealing with Hallie Thorleifson was a sight to behold. Elon belittling him until it was pointed out that he would be out of pocket millions of dollars. Silly Elon. Not just millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars. Bare minimum, Twitter probably offered him $100 million for his company, if not more. Hawley asked for the purchase price to be doled out as a salary, so that he would work for Twitter, receive it as a salary, and if they terminated him, they would owe him the balance. And that's because he wanted to pay a higher tax rate back to Iceland, because as somebody who's in a wheelchair, he loved his education and wanted to help others who are disabled with that money. So, like, the guy is a saint. Like, twice Iceland's top citizen, like named Citizen of the Year. He spent his fortune building wheelchair ramps into like 1,000-year-old buildings all over the country so that people in wheelchairs have access to things. The guy is just a saint. And Elon tried to pretend like he's just some jackass. Know nothing, should have been fired anyway, and then realized, oh my God, we don't have enough capital to pay him what we have to pay him if we fired him. And I have not had a word if he's still working for Twitter or not, or if Elon's going to have to pay him. Oops. Johnny Mac. HW, happy to be here. Hope the cat doesn't steal Monkey Butt's seat today. I don't know. The weather got nice, and the cat has been going outside. So he's out there just murdering forest creatures and being a plague on the local biome. So he's not been hanging out too often now that the weather's nice. Ingrid S., a lovely Hawaiian shirt. Well done. Oh man, can't wait to see how UBS intends to deal with Credit Suisse bags. Okay, first of all, this shirt's got birds. Look at all these knot crows. There's knot crows all over this shirt. Yep. Yep. Got knot crows and a sailboarder. Look at that guy. Sailboarding away right there. And I think that's supposed to be clouds. So the shirt gets better when your eyes go down. Yeah, how is UBS going to deal with the Credit Suisse bags? I mean, when U.S. banks take over troubled banks, what they do is they buy all the good stuff. They bid on that, so they get that for like a third of a penny on the dollar. And then they leave all the crap for the obligations warehouse, government, Fed, deal with that crap. I don't know if the central bank is doing the same thing. Like UBS, like, oh, sweet, we just bought this company for $3 billion that has $1 trillion in assets. But they also have like $1 trillion in liabilities. So where are the liabilities now? I don't know. Cornster X2. Hey, Houston, any updates on MMTLP taxes and to file? Obviously, not asking for financial advice, but your personal opinion. I haven't looked yet. I'll probably do taxes this Saturday. But I haven't done spit. Even look at it. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. If when I look at the stuff, it says that I sold my position at $2.99 and made a profit or whatever, I'm going to correct those numbers when I file, and then the government can get angry at me. I don't care. But that's what happened. I bought it like 87 cents. Right now it's worth $0, and my cost basis shouldn't change. I didn't sell at $2.99. I still have the securities, so I will just correct it on paper if I have to. Black Udon, greetings from Japan. Well, greetings from Merca. Ches Shire, Houston. You think AMC will squeeze before reverse split? Can judge dismiss lawsuit before 27? Monkey butt wants a treat. Thanks, Houston. Does she? She's a floor dog right now. She doesn't want a treat. She'll come and stare at me eventually, and then it'll be time. I think what's going to happen first is word is Antera has a boatload of $2 puts on AMC. And on 22nd, which is Wednesday? Yeah, today's 20th. I'm thinking the 22nd, which is 90 days on Wednesday, is when Antara can sell their entire bag, 240 million shares or whatever it is that they hold of APE. If I were an evil piece of crap company, I would sell that stuff at 3 times what I paid for it, and then turn around, flood the market with shares, drive the price of everything down, collect on my puts, and then maybe buy back in after that. Because you got a month. You got a month until some decision happens with that lawsuit, and Adam Aaron can finally set a date for the reverse split. But until then, it's gonna be in the FUD zone. They're gonna get hammered from all angles. So, if Antara has those $2 puts, a boatload of them, and right now they're like 10 cents, 11 cents per share for those puts. So you spend 10, 11 bucks for a put, drive that sucker down to $2, get 8 to 10 times back what you paid for them. And then, then they set a date and the price rockets again. You just switch that back into calls and you ride that ship right back up. So then you go from you 10x your puts and then you maybe 50x your calls at that point. It goes right back up to $5 or something. So that's kind of how I think they're going to play it. If I had a gajillion dollars, I'd probably play it the same way. It says 54 BBBY got absolutely hammered today. Yep. Absolutely just trashed. I kind of, now it's below $1. I might be able to pick up a whole bunch of dollar calls and just see what happens from there. Well, I do think that something weird's going to happen with Bed Bath & Beyond. Just, that's my gut. And I got a lot of gut right now to tell me. And the gut says something weird's going to happen. Their books look terrible, but man, do they look delicious if you're a billionaire looking to turn them around. You can pick that stuff up for a song. And what are they going to do about it? Nothing. Jason Blackwell, Houston, what's the difference between ignorance and apathy? I don't know. I don't care. Peace Tech. What are some of the ways that help us tell what the climate and weather was like millions of years ago? There's a few ways to do it. If you go back far enough, you can look at the geologic record and see what type of plants and animals are in fossils and shales and stuff. And you can also see the continents have moved quite a bit. So you can go up to Alaska and see it 300 million years ago. Much of Alaska is tropical. There's all sorts of tropical ferns and things like that. Plants and fish. But that's because it moved a long ways in 300 million years. For more recent histories, you can do ice core samples. Those ice core samples can tell you, because the snow piles up on the ice and will make banded formations, just like you would get in tree rings. So you drill down, you can check for air pockets. In those air pockets in the ice, you can actually collect what the atmosphere content was at that time. You can measure the CO2 levels and other gases that were in the atmosphere. It can tell you how much snow fell, because the layers will change in thickness depending on what year and how much snowfall may have happened in that period. You can do the same thing. It's called dendrochronology, where you go to trees and you go to some really, really, really old trees, because there's trees that are several thousand years old, and you just drill a little core into the tree and pull it out. And it'll tell you when there was lots of rain, when there was lots of drought, conditions. If there was lots of rain, but it was cold, they didn't grow that much, and so on. You can kind of map it out that way. You can look into the fossil record there as well, such as coming out of the last ice age, the Sahara Desert was lush. And since then, it's been desertified as the 30-degree latitude high pressure systems have formed over places like the Sahara, and the African steppe and the Sahel has grown as a result. Some of that's human caused, because the humans went out and harvested all the little trees, and their goats and cattle ate them and everything, and that further desertified. But some of it's also just natural, because there's less rainfall because the way the climate system's set up. You can look at glacial moraines, the glaciers that came out of the north or from the south, and the moraines that got left behind, the big piles of dirt that got bulldozed by them. You can kind of measure where those were and what time period they retreated, so you can calculate that stuff. What else can you do? We even have climate records in written form. People writing about the weather in cuneiforms and hieroglyphs and, what other forms of writings that different cultures had around the world thousands of years ago. Those kind of the big ones. Did I cover it for you? I hope so, because I can't think of any more. Rick. He's just replying to Citizen 54. Martin Weiss, who is smartest? A, anti-vaxxer, B, your stalker, C, flat earther, D, climate skeptics, E, UBS, F, megas, H, Elon. That's a lot of rocks in a hard place there. Do I have to answer? Flat earthers? That's arbitrary. Pick that one. Dillerman's Wharf, Houston is CS, same like Denny's. $1.99, you're out of your mind? More like 94 cents, my man. Martin Weiss, why did prices for UBS puts go up today, even though the share price increased? Otherwise, I would have bought my first puts today. Probably because of demand. Which one's demand? Is that? No, that's delta, gamma, theta. Crap. I can't remember which one demand is on the Greek's graph. But my guess is demand. That a lot of people were like, ooh, they just bought a turd and jumped in, and then demand caused the price of the puts to go up. That's probably it. And that, the more puts will be written and the price will come down. But today, there probably doesn't exist enough puts out there to be written for them to pick it up. But if UBS picked up that bag that Credit Suisse has, they're just as doomed as everyone else. It's like the Ark of the Covenant, man. They open their eyes and just their face got sucked out and whatever. Al Roglin. We need to apply serious disinfectant to that wound. Lone Wolf. If you get millions in the stock market, what do you do with that money? Personally, if it's enough to retire, I dump that crap into an index fund and then do whatever I want for the rest of my life. That's what you do. Christopher Bersau, bank crash equals margin call? Well, I think it depends on the liabilities the bank has and who they've lent to. Makes you think of So 2007, I was looking at doing a master's degree at American University in Sharjah, which is in the UAE. We can bring up a map here if that helps to you guys see where I'm talking about. Oops, that's the wrong screen. Go over there. Okay. Bam. Bam. We'll leave. Where were we? Oh, we were in Utah there. Okay. Okay, UAE. This peninsula here. You got Abu Dhabi, which is the big emirate there. There's a whole bunch of emirates, and then you have Sharjah, which is this section. Sharjah's right here, next to Dubai. They're much more conservative. They don't have like the fancy hotels and party places, but they have a pile of money. And at the time, the Sultan of Sharjah, if you did their public planning, which is what I was planning doing a planning degree, they would basically build whatever you plan: trains, malls, universities. They're just like, oh, great plan. Let's just throw some money at it, because they're trying to diversify their economy away from oil and gas and trying to make something that'll last and be different. And they're just throwing their money at stuff. I was like, cool. I'll do this program. So I applied. I was slated to attend. Would have been spring 2009, and then the economy collapsed. And then all these stories about people who were working in the UAE all of a sudden weren't able to leave the country or being thrown into debtor's prison. And I was going to have to take on debt. I was going to have to borrow money to go to school. So I'll be borrowing money from the Emirates to go to school. And apparently they'll just throw you in debtor's prison if like they need the money. I'm like, well, I'll just throw you in prison and you're not going to leave until you can pay us. There are also stories about people who worked for like a power company and they were paid $200,000 a year for the last decade. Then all of a sudden the Sultan who owned the power company was like, yeah, you can't leave the country until you pay me that $2 million back. And like, well, what $2 million? Well, I paid you $200,000 a year for the last decade. I need that money back because I don't have any money. And they're like, but that was my salary. No. You owe me that money now. And so all these people were getting like locked away, getting their passports taken and whatever. So I decided to like not go to Sharjah. So, yeah, that's, yeah. So the banks might be a little bit that way too. Like, yeah, they might have a whole bunch of crappy long-term bonds, like low interest bonds, right? If there's a run on the bank, they don't have the cash from those worthless bonds to give them anything. So they may look at some hedge funds, be like, hey, hedge funds, that money I gave you, I want it back. Just like the Sultan is saying. The hedge funds are like, I don't have any money. And the bank goes, well, what if I liquidate you? And then the hedge fund goes, well, then you just took on the liabilities of the 30-to-1 margin you gave me. And the bank goes, oh shit. So I'm not sure where along that way the margin calls would happen, because I think banks are genuinely terrified to call in, because it goes back to that old adage, right? If you owe the bank $1,000, that's your problem. If you owe the bank $1 billion, that's their problem. And Donald Trump played that game all the time. And you know, that's if you can get enough money out of them, then all of a sudden they're beholden to you because they just gave you too much money and they don't have enough for everyone else. So I don't know how they're going to get it back, honestly, without just printing, lots and lots of printing. Hoshi Gaming, what bank's next? Who do I bet puts in? If you're rich enough, and I am not, but if you have, let's say, millions to play with, right? A couple $1 million, I would buy deeper puts in every single solitary bank. Every single one of them. buy a few $1,000s here, $10,000 there in puts, 10,000. And I would just buy puts in every single solitary bank in existence, because if one of those banks goes under, you'll get 1,000,000% gain on what those puts are worth, and it'll pay for whatever ones don't work out. Because remember, SVB, if you had spent $1,000 on $220 puts on Wednesday the 7th, those contracts were $1 each, so you get 1,000 contracts. By Thursday afternoon, they had gone up 1,180,000% in one trading day. They went up essentially 2,000,000% by Friday when the bank got seized. So you could have turned that $1,000 investment into a $20 million investment in 2 days. So if other banks are looking like that, and you've got some money to spread around, why not buy $1,000 or $10,000 in puts in every single solitary one of those guys that are, significantly down? Because if you're looking for a bank to collapse, you're looking for a stock price to go from here to just bottom, be worthless, right? So you just buy the first spot along the way where those puts are $1 each, collect as many of them as you can, and as many banks as possible. One of those banks is going to go under. You're going to get tens of thousands or millions of percent gains. I wish I had a lot of money to play with right now. I would bet against everybody. Even then, one of those banks blinks out of existence, all those other banks drop as well through the fear, right? The contagion of fear. And you can just sell all those puts at a profit as well. It's, yeah. Quiet Quest, Rosa case held up by immunity, she tweeted. So, what does that mean? Rosa? What do you mean? Let's look up what Rosa has to say. Rosa. Shipping. She's tweeting Florida stuff, Texas stuff, Florida stuff. Florida stuff. Oh, she says, I wonder what Ron DeSantis thinks of MMTLP and the delays in the judicial process due to claims of absolute incompetence. Whoops, I mean immunity. Oh, she's ribbing. I don't think she's really saying so much that her case has been held up specifically by that. I think she's just kind of ribbing the other side right there. Big Kiwi Lil Peewee. After you sold to Jimmy post Moas, how do you plan on ensuring you safely get your cash out of your brokerage account? I might not necessarily get my cash out of a brokerage account. I may just transfer to like Vanguard or something, and then throw it into their a spread of their index funds, and then hopefully get my 6 to 8% returns on that every year, paid out in annuities, and then enjoy my life. That's kind of how I would plan on doing that. Some brokerages, they'll have limits like, oh, you can't withdraw more than $50,000 a day. Okay, then I withdraw $50,000 a day. Or just transfer brokerages and they just cut you a check for all the cash in your account right then and there. Yeah, that's how I do it. I don't think it's too much of a trick to it. As long as you just transfer brokerages, they got to close your account and send you the money. Or transfer whatever holdings you have to that other brokerage. It's pretty easy. That's probably the easiest way to get your money out of whatever brokerage you're in. Okay. Johnny Mac. Oops. Sorry. I lost my spot again. Red Ape 37 is bad. I bank with Wells Fargo and hold all my puts for Wells Fargo. That's called hedging. Now imagine you were one of those tech bros at SVB. And you had $3 million in your bank account. And on Wednesday, the 7th, They're like, oh my God, pull your money out while you can. If you had taken that $3 million out and put it all on puts for SVB, right? You would have had $30 billion. Is that math right? Yeah. You would have made $30 billion in the puts. So, like, maybe $60 billion if by the end of it all done. So, I mean, talk about a great way to hedge your bets right there, Red Ape. Right? Bank fails, I make money either way. Right? So, not so bad. Khalik Brown, this dude is corny. Which dude? Of course I'm corny, dude. Martin Weiss, have to go to bed now and listen to the rest tomorrow. Why would China currently support Putin when they have so much to lose? What could they possibly win other than widening the conflict? My guess is access to natural resources. That Putin's probably selling them the whole kit and caboodle. He's probably selling them oil. He's probably selling them gold. He's probably selling them silver. He's probably selling them uranium. Giant uranium shipment of enriched uranium just went to China. Rumor is that it would be to be used in reactors for possibly submarines or aircraft carriers. My guess is that Putin is selling the farm, and Xi is taking total advantage of it. Putin probably thinks like, oh, haha, I will win this war then, and then I'll turn on China or something. But Xi knows that Putin doesn't have the capability, anything to do that. And this would allow Xi, access to a whole bunch of resources that Western companies had been doing the contracting for, and get a whole bunch of Chinese into Siberia. If Russia falls, then China just takes Siberia. And then Siberia has another, empire they got to worry about. The Kid Crid. Houston, do you know what happens to calls, puts, on Credit Suisse now that UBS purchased them 54 cents a share? That should be what the price is, but for some reason the price is still trading like 94 cents or whatever. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know if they'll cash out 94 cents or if they'll cash out at the current listed price that was trading for today. Al Roglan, I got 2 accounts divided between 2 credit unions. I'll never use a conventional bank again. Makes sense. I wish we still had a credit union in my community. We don't. We used to have 3, and then they all disappeared. We had Washington Federal Credit Union. We had Verity Credit Union. We had Kitsap Credit Union. And now there's no credit unions. They're all gone. And all we have are some crappy banks. And then 2 of the banks, 2 of the regional banks, Columbia and Umpqua Bank, are merging. So that will reduce banks. And that will leave us with Key Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. I think that'll be it. Otherwise, you got to drive half an hour or take a ferry to go use a bank. That's annoying. Which is really weird in such a rich community. You'd think there'd be more banking options for all these rich assholes, but no, there aren't. Yogi 2012. What would happen to SCHD if Schwab failed? What would happen to my stocks in TD? Would I be forced to take a cash payment? No. If your broker fails for some reason, another broker comes along and takes all those assets, just like with a bank, right? Washington Mutual fails, Chase Manhattan comes in, scoops them up, takes all of their assets, leaves behind their liabilities. Same thing would happen if your broker failed. Ameritrade would come in and scoop up all of the assets, and you would just be an Ameritrade customer after that. Calls on Inc. Futures. Not financial advice. Phil Bill. Credit Suisse was backstopped by SNB for $9 billion, so effectively UBS purchased Credit Suisse for negative $6 billion, and all the bonds were written down to zero. That's another $17 billion. There was a huge hole in CS finance, Credit Suisse finances. Yep. Daniel Motes, hey Houston, I missed what happened with Bed Bath & Beyond. Can you explain good or bad news? After hours on Friday, Bed Bath & Beyond announced that they're going to put to vote to the shareholders a reverse split between 5x and 10x. So either 5-to-1 or 10-to-1 reverse split. And they did after hours, and after hours the stock price crashed. Happened during the show. So I was in the middle of the show when they made that announcement, and everyone's like, why aren't you talking about Bed Bath & Beyond? Because I'm in my show and I'm not looking at the news. So I didn't know about it until I got to it in the chat. This could be one of two things. It could be the beginning of a giant debt spiral that they'll never get out of, where they do a reverse split, issue a bunch of shares, take out more loans, have to pay off the interest rate on those loans, so they have to do another reverse split, and the price just gets shorted down, expanded, shorted down, expanded, so on, over and over and over again. Or it could be a giant bear trap, and the price crashes below $1 a share, and someone like Ryan Cohen and Carl Icahn come along and buy up 100 million shares for pennies, and then they control the company all of a sudden. And, you know, they can themselves pay off debt. They can spin off Baby and turn that into a $20 billion company. There's a lot of things that they can do. So it's either a debt spiral, everything's doomed, the company's going to never exist anymore, or it's a giant bear trap that Ryan Cohen and Carl Icahn are going to crush everyone with. I don't know which. Do you know which, Monkey? Oh, she's doing the thing. She's staring at me, and then her eyes move to the bag on the shelf. Dude, we just got back from an hour-long trip through town where you stopped off at every single solitary store and got a cookie, or a beef jerky, or a giant biscuit, or a hunk of, like, mortadella or bacon, even. Like, come on. I know what you're looking for there, Burpee McGee. Get up in your bed. Come on. Get up on your bed. You can sit up there and stare at the bag. There it is. I'll just stare at the bag. There, staring at the bag. Bag starer. Oh, are we gonna whine about it? Are we gonna whine about it? Are we a greedy little dog? Okay. Lone Wolf. I should have asked, where would you put your money from broker, multiple bank accounts, credit union? I would not have a pile of cash. I mean, I would take some cash because there's certain things I'd like to, pay off and whatever, upgrade. But most of it I would put in index funds and then take my annuities from that. Peachy Sunday. Ooh, here we go. Got some coordinates. Coordinates coming through. Fantastic. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Doo-doo-doo. Flying across the Atlantic into California, Nevada. Where are we? Boom. It's a hill. Keys View. Let's go parking lot. Can we see what Keys View is? We can see what Keys View is. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's the view. Oh, that's pretty cool. Are we over Death Valley? Where are we? Oh, I wasn't paying that close attention. We got some granite. That's all granite right there. Granite, granite, granite. There's a free camera. Everyone want a free camera? Keys View. I've never been up to Keys View, but it's a pretty good view. Very key. Okay. Where was I? Where am I? Keys View. It's up on this hill. Everything's looking south. Oh, if I sold the sea. Okay. Yeah, that's where we are. Looking over Indio, Coachella, Palm Springs, etc. Yeah. Good spot. We did a drive up, was it this valley? One with the train tracks. No. Yes. Crap. Where's Red Canyon? This Red Canyon? Red Canyon. Okay, yeah. There's this one. And beautiful, beautiful canyon. Especially it was during Super Bloom in 2017. So there's wildflowers everywhere. Monkey's got some great pictures of wildflowers. But it's a really cool canyon to drive up, and some like weird slot canyons and things in here. And there's weird guys 4x4ing and whatnot. Beautiful. But what I discovered, what I saw is this rail line here. And this rail line goes all the way to, I think, Fontana, if I remember correctly. And this rail line comes from, was it Eagle Mountain? Follow this sucker up. This rail line here. Follow it up, follow it up, follow it up, follow it up. Keep following, keep following, keep following. Eagle Mountain, bam. So Eagle Mountain, and I have yet to hop the fence and go check this out. I'm sure security will come after me. But this is a giant iron mine. You can see these massive open pits here. There's 3 of them, 3 huge open pits. And this was owned by, I think, Alcoa. And they made a several thousand person company town. All these empty buildings here. That schools, shopping centers, etc. And in 84 is when it shut down. Built in 1948. Shut down. 1980, population was only 750 workers. And 81, kind of announced the phasing out. 82, 83, June that year, official graduating class finished from Iron Mountain School. So 84 it was done. Eagle Mountain experienced resurgence 86. Price unique, privately owned prison with Rolex inmates in the town. Happened for a little while. As far as I know, there's nothing still there. They want to do a giant pump storage hydroelectricity plant, I think, into the open pits there, but nothing's been done with that. Is not openly accessible, and fenced and gated with a site manager appointed to handle access requests. So basically, I have to break in to go check it out. But it's lots of cool abandoned buildings and all sorts of works. And as somebody who loves his ghost towns, I definitely want to go run around in here. But that being said, the rail line, I want to build a railroad bicycle. You guys ever seen a railroad bicycle? I want to build a railroad bicycle. Essentially, it's a platform. It's like 2 piece of plywood that's got rail wheels on it and a bike. And I want to ride from Eagle Mountain all the way down to the Indio Valley, through Red Canyon, all the way down along the stinky north side of the Salton Sea, and it's just downhill the whole way. It'll take a day or two, but I think it'd be really fun. Just ride that rail line, just ride it all the way along. Raw. A couple of spots have been washed out, so you'd ride along and have to like take your platform bike off. It just seems like a really fun spring desert thing to do. Anywho, there's really cool oases here as well. Where were we? When we came down, we 4x4'd, rather than taking the regular road back to this high road here, we decided to 4x4 down, and we got stuck in these like really weird swampy oases. And there's some here. And there's like, from above, it looks like a little green thing, but it's like all palm trees. They're really, really interesting. Really interesting. Okay. Enough talking about that. Okay. Trey Spider, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Joseph, what happens to all Credit Suisse's default swaps? I don't know if they cash out or if they become UBS default swaps. That's a good question. I have no idea what a lot of these securities, these derivatives, how they're going to transfer over and what they're going to mean. Not a clue. Trey Spider, how's Big Dog doing? I miss him. Last time I saw Big Dog, he had lost like 30 pounds and was a nervous wreck. Dog's got tons of anxiety and never shuts up, so they lock him in his room, and then he just is an anxious monster from there. So Big Dog not doing so well. Big Dog, the best thing that ever happened to Big Dog was him living with me, and that was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. All right, Monkey. Do you miss the Big Dog? You don't at all, even a little. So the minute he left, she was like, oh my gosh. So were all the roommates. It was definite relaxation. Matthew Dom, will MMTLP ever be resolved? Looks like they're doing everything to kick the can down the road. Of course they're doing everything to kick the can down the road. That's their only game plan. Al Roglin, Houston, there are 3 Alaska credit unions in Seattle, a very solid credit union. Yes, that still involves taking a ferry to go do my banking. That's a pain in the ass. I can't just like hop in the car and be at the bank in 5 minutes, which is, you know, for me, the best way to bank is if I can like talk to a human being at some point when I need to. I mean, I do still do like take a picture of the check thing and that stuff's handy, but I do like having some human I can contact with. DeSoiza? Does Credit Suisse have the GME swaps? Don't know. Either they might, or they might be with Apollo. I haven't had confirmation one way or the other. Trey Spider puts on First Republic Bank. I don't think. I think it may win for you. Whereas Baldo, SEC needs to make a commercial to beware people to do their research before investing in meme banks. He's trying to collect her waiting fee. The Kid Crid, Houston, have you ever been to Alaska to ski? Alaska is awesome. Mountain in Girdwood. I've been to Alaska, never to ski. I would love to like take a helicopter and ski Valdez or something. But I've not been there to ski yet. Jinja Ninja, banks finding out they own a rock instead of silver. Yeah. So the London Metals Exchange discovered a whole bunch of bags of rocks and not, I think was it supposed to be nickel or was it silver that those bags of rocks ended up being? Anyway, they have a bunch of rocks when they thought they had actual metal. Don Caesar Shadem, are you teaching this semester? What classes? Are you taking any classes? Working your 10th degree? I just got word that I'm not teaching this quarter. Enrollment has collapsed at colleges all over the country, and they're cutting classes like crazy. So I'm not doing astronomy this quarter. I figured the economy will collapse. Everyone will return to school because that's what you do. When, hey, there's no jobs, I might as well go collect some student loans and take some classes. So my guess is enrollment will be back up by fall. But right now, enrollment is like half of what it was prior to COVID, and the colleges don't know what to do with that. So no teaching for Houston this quarter. I haven't heard from the film school if I'm doing that science film class this summer. But that still may be in the works. Schrodinger's physical assets. I read any news on your meeting with the journalist. Yeah, I spoke with a financial journalist from the New York Times 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. He was supposed to speak with Rosa on Friday the 9th, and then SVB collapsed, and he was like, can't talk about that right now. I got to write SVB articles. So he's hopefully gonna get in contact with her. I think he also talked to William Morgan, and I pointed him to a couple other folks in the community to reach out to that had good data and information. But again, he even when talking to me, I talked to him for like 2 hours. It's something that would be a long form format. Like, you know, put it in New York Times Magazine on a Sunday and it'd be 15 pages, something huge. Because you can't explain a situation in 700 words, and by then you've probably lost the reader. So you put it into a long form piece that kind of can draw the readers in. That's probably the best method. Even then, it's several months of investigating before they can get to that point where they can write the article. So I got them as much, screenshots of people's accounts that I had of, holdings and taxes, and when different brokers said they were going to go to position close only, and then, the U3 halts and all that stuff. So I passed them all that stuff. Plus I sent them the MMTL resources.com press resources page, which has a lot of that stuff too. So who knows when it will come out? Not anytime soon, that's for sure. Jimmy Green. It's just dumb that it just sits. It could be turned into a rehab community for the homeless. Oh, Eagle Mountain? I mean, Eagle Mountain's way out there, so it'd be expensive to run for something like that. There's a lot of ghost towns that are just so far out there that folks just, what are you going to do with them? You can't just stay populated because, getting food and fuel and stuff's going to be a pain in the butt without having the economic engine of the mine running. Citizen 54, Houston. Is overheating an issue in space? What are the issues mining equipment must overcome on the moon to successfully mine for helium-3? I mean, heating can become just as much of a problem as cooling, right? Because on the sunny side of the moon, it's 140 degrees Fahrenheit. On the dark side of the moon, it's like minus 170. So if you're looking at lubricants can start to just gum up and get really viscous at the cold temperatures. So you may need heating elements to keep that stuff warm. And then in the sunshine, when it's 140 degrees Fahrenheit in the sun, anything that's got direct sunlight is going to be absolutely scorching. Anything that's in the shade should be totally fine. But yes, they're going to have to look at heating and cooling effects. The biggest problem, I think, with mining on the moon is the moon dust itself, which is basically super fine bits of glass dust. Most of that dust is blasted out of the silica-rich rocks by micrometeorites, and then it settles everywhere. One of the biggest problems that NASA's astronauts had was the dust getting into the joints of the spacesuits and grinding everything apart, and then doing micro incisions in the webbing of the protective layers of the suit. So if you fell on the ground, which you're going to do when you're in a low gravity environment and wearing a big clunky suit, that dust gets on everything. It starts to work its way into the weaving of the fabric, and it'll just start tearing it up. So anyone who's up there is going to need to have suits, patching, new joints made for the outfits. Because you're in a zero pressure environment, right? It's vacuum. So your suit has to be pressurized. That's to pressure 1 atmosphere of air into your suit, which does all sorts of weird things. Like, think about your gloves, right? When you have gloves on, the gloves are generally form fitted to your fingers. So if you grab stuff, you can just sort of grab it and pick it up. But in a spacesuit glove, it's pressurized. So there's air pressure around each finger. So when you have to move your finger, it moves a while before it gets to the edge of the glove, and then you can bend it. It takes a lot of strength to do. It will wear your fingers out real quick. And the whole suit's that way. Looking up how they built the suits for those zero pressure environments are really crazy. The first suits that they used actually were the suits for the U-2 spy planes when they first did the Mercury missions. They're like, hey, that's for low pressure. We'll just wear these suits. And they just put NASA on them. But then when they realized, like, oh, we're going to have to do spacewalks. We're going to have to land on surfaces of other, planetoids like the moon. We're going to have to look at different ways to do this. And because of the heating and cooling systems involved in those suits, they're really bulky. They have these giant backpacks that would like wick away moisture and either cool or heat you depending on if you were in direct sunlight or not. And then it's all bulky. And so these guys walk around like toddlers, like that kid in the Christmas Story with a snowsuit on. And it is absolutely exhausting. In the future, maybe they'll figure out like tight Lycra pressure suits that can work on people. But my guess is it's going to require still like air. You're going to need air pumped into the suits and recirculating to keep the pressure up. Whereas Baldo, there's a photo somewhere posted that shows UBS credit default swap spiking, thinking that was Credit Suisse passing them the potato. I think that was on Friday, wasn't it? Or was that European markets this morning? I saw it at some point, and now my brain is not remembering where I saw that. But yeah, they're spiking higher than they ever did in 2008. Contagion Shadem, dude, same here. I teach college English at a 2-year enrollment is worrisome. Yeah, enrollment seems to be really, 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 really down. But again, economy collapses, everyone goes back to school. So that's, things are looking up for community colleges. Once the economy collapses, well, what am I going to do? Go learn something, I guess. Retool. Citizen 54, follow-up on heating in space. How would a nuclear reactor even work in space? Rolls-Royce is developing one for the moon. I'm not sure how the Rolls-Royce one would work. I read about that. They didn't really detail how it would work. The way radioactive batteries work in like space probes and stuff that we launch into space is you bake the elements into a ceramic thing. And that ceramic thing is warm, and it might be, between 80 and 100 degrees Celsius, so close to boiling temperature, and it radiates heat, and you essentially use that heat radiation to power all of your equipment, if there's Stirling engines or whatever you might be using, and that's kind of the way those batteries work. And you bake it into the ceramic in case there's an accident on the launch, and that it won't spread uranium and whatever nuclear material fissile material that they put in there. And the half-lives on them are like 50 years. So Voyager 1 and 2 have them. Those went up in the late 70s. So we're almost to the first half-life of their batteries. And they expect to work sort of through the second half-life and then be pretty useless after that. So we'll get information from Voyager for another 40 years or so before Voyager 1 and 2 the batteries are so weak that they can't even collect anything from them. But if I were Rolls-Royce and I were going to put a reactor on the moon, I would make it a fusion reactor and just collect the helium-3 that's there and use that. So I just use the fuel of the dust on the moon to do it. The Kid Crid, Houston, do you believe China faked their landing on the moon as well? Most people thought China moon picture was fake. No, because we have a satellite that goes around the moon and takes pictures of it, and we have pictures of their little rover. The rover hasn't moved in like a year. Let's see if I can find some here. Chinese moon rover hasn't moved. This has not moved since September 2022. Okay. No, that's the one from Mars. I want the moon one. Moon rover minus Mars. Oops. I did ours. Minus Mars. China's first moon rover broken beyond repair. That's 2014. I want the new one. China's moon rover takes a deeper look at far side. China's lunar rover investigate hut. Where's the Argolith moon far side? That's February of last year. How am I not finding the picture? Was it confusing with their Mars rover that's dead? I thought their one on the dark side of the moon was dead as well. Yeah, maybe I'm full of shit. I thought it was their lunar rover, but looks like their Mars rover is the one that died. And I just confused the two. But I mean, they've landed stuff on Mars. They can land stuff on the moon. The moon's 3 days away. Anyone at this point can land things on the moon. You just tell Chat GPT that you need the code to land something on the moon, and it'll tell you how to do it. Oh yeah, just plug this into your rocket thruster computer. Everything will be fine. Swabulous. Is this guy right about anything? Sometimes I'm right. Are you right about anything, Swabulous? Julianne, a lot of conservatives are refusing to send their kids to college because it turns them liberal. That might be the case also. But you know what? Then there's going to become a class distinction between those who get white collar jobs and those who work for them, I guess, right? Seems like a silly thing. Like, everyone should approach everything they learn with some skepticism and some cynicism, just so that, something can be explained to you beyond the shadow of a doubt. Like, you just can't just accept whatever they dump in your head. You have to work it out as to whether it makes sense or not. But a lot of people, when they go to college, it's the first time they've seen people outside of their socioeconomic zone, or like lived with them. And there were not many minorities where I grew up. We had pretty decent Japanese and Filipino population, but outside of that, not much. And when I went to Seattle Central College, it was the most diverse community college in America. And when I went to Hilo, it was the most diverse college in North America, period. And that diversity, I think, is a great thing to experience. You have lots of international students, lots of students from different cultures inside the United States and economic zones inside the United States. It exposes you to like how other people live. I think that's a really important experience to get, like seeing, oh, this is a human being. This is someone who has thoughts, feelings, dreams, aspirations, things I've got in common with, things I have nothing in common with. I think it's a really, really, really important point of growth for a lot of people to be able to experience that. Yeah, you can learn your technical skills and the things in the field that you're interested in, but the socialization that happens, I think, is just as important in college. And that's something you miss out on in online school for sure, is that you don't get to like experience these people like in person and see them as a person other than just like some face falling asleep on a screen trying to stay awake during a lecture. Oh, I believe in that. Connectivity is great for people. Ethereal Wasteland. JP Morgan Chase kept bags of stones in a Dutch warehouse thinking they were nickel. According to the Wall Street Journal, the London Metal Exchange revealed Friday that the bags contained stones instead of nickel. Yes. Just hilarious. What if they did contain metal, right? And someone took it. The great nickel theft. Nickel's so worthless. It takes so much nickel. Oh my gosh. All right. Nickel price. So nickel is $3 a pound. Bags maybe 50 pounds. So $150 per bag. How many bags are you going to have to make that worthwhile? A lot of bags. That is a lot of bags. Okay. George 777 GME reverse split last year. AMC and BBY also doing reverse split. Coincidence? F no. They're killing memes with this BS. Yeah. Well, it's true. Yep. BOFH. GameStop did a forward split. So they didn't do a reverse split. Peach said a Houston, who killed JFK? Seems convenient to pin it all on Lee Harvey Oswald, then have him killed. Also, there's a pic of Bush Sr. in the vicinity of the shooting. I mean, Bush Sr. was a CIA guy back then. Who killed him? Honestly, I don't know. At this point, it's kind of like, where did the origins of COVID come from? At this point, who cares? Because regardless of where it came from, we didn't do our damn job to stop it. So, it doesn't. If you're going to invite calamity, does the source of the calamity matter at that point? Maybe there's second shooter theory. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it was the CIA. Maybe it was the communists. Maybe it was, angry rightists. I don't know. I honestly don't know who killed JFK. If it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald, who else participated? You can go in on Google Earth. Someone pointed this out in one of the shows a few months ago. You can go inside the book repository, and you can see like from the window where Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly shot from. It's pretty crazy. In Google Earth, you can do that. Telly Salvalus, your face looks weird, like a CGI, not real. Does it look weird? Monkey butt, does my face look weird? People have been telling me my face looks weird for quite a few shows now. I'm beginning to believe that my face looks weird. Is it? I don't know. But maybe this. We're an hour and 12 minutes into the show. We can make an excited dog. Ugh. But anytime someone tells me my face looks weird, they gotta show me their face, because we have to know what they're packing, right? It's like all those guys on Facebook or Twitter. They're always like telling women they're ugly or something, and then they have like an anime picture. Come on, dude. If you're gonna tell people they look ugly, you gotta show your own face so we can make fun of it. Oh, is this what you want? Is this what you want? Is this what you want? Wow. Your face is normal. Oh no, normal, huh? Yeah. Oh, you want it? You want it? Okay. Yeah, that's it. You did it. Yay, you're a little fatty. Okay, get back up here. Come on, get back up there and enjoy your victory. Come on. Oh wait. Nope, that's it. Ain't nothing else. That's it. Come on, up. Julianne's got coordinates. Let's do some Julianne coordinates. Come on, Google Earth. Let's leave California. And we're going to Florida. Uh-oh. Somewhere in Florida. Oh, we're at Cape Canaveral. What'd it say? Street View. We'll go Street View in Cape Canaveral. Take the little man. Plunk him down right. Yaw. Whoa. What just happened? Okay. Got some cars. Got a Jeep. Got a, what was that? Hyundai or something? Okay, there's a rocket. There's a rocket. There's a Biz 360 tours. You can do your 360 Google Maps business view, visual tours. Okay, they got their little ad right there. Bunch of other folks. Can I zoom in? I can't zoom in with Biz 360 stores. Range Rovers. Big old phallic rocket. Well, let me zoom in though. I want to zoom in. No, I want to zoom in, not scroll down. Durr. It is funny, the skinny little door they have. It's a cute little door. The little penis goes right inside, and then they close the door, and then it comes right back out again. Neat. I dig it, Julianne. The Kid Crid follow-up JP Morgan was supposed to have 54 metric tons of nickel. That's a lot. 54 metric tons. That's 54,000 pounds or 54,000 kilograms at $3 each. It's $150,000 of nickel. So it's not going to put too much of a dent in their bottom line, but still, like, that's a lot of storage fees. Nate Diesel, hey Houston, have you heard the story behind Randy Arozarena becoming a Mexican citizen by way of baseball? No. Andy Azor. How do you spell that? As Aroz Arena. Left fielder. Cuban Mexican. Oh, is he one of those guys that defected, left Cuba, became a Mexican citizen? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So he's playing for the Mexican team as a result. Did you also hear that one of the Cuban players defected, didn't show up to get on the plane and leave, and is now a defected Cuban in America? That seemed to be... if I were the Cuban baseball team, and I knew that my players want to desperately play in the major leagues and get the hell out of Cuba, I would never play an international game as a result. Or just make life better for the baseball players. I mean, if Cuba just did what Venezuela does and just let them join the major leagues and then they get a huge amount of remittances back home, it would generate a huge amount of money. I mean, like in Dominican Republic, the number one exporter is probably baseball players, followed by perhaps sugarcane and tourism. But baseball players are definitely in there. Ralph Fan, GTII squeeze soon. It seems like Apollo is in a weird position with them. KOD from 5 to 150 by August. KOD? What's KOD? Kodiak Sciences. I don't know who they are. They've been as high as 150 in January 21. And then they fell off a cliff. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing because I forgot to turn that on. Google Earth off. So 2 years ago, they were $150, $158. And then February of last year, $52, and then just fell off a cliff. $6, $7, $5. What do they do? I have no idea what they do. I don't know what they are. I'll look them into them more. They're Kodiak Sciences, whatever they are. Huzzah. Tribute to the Monkey Butt Destroyer of Worlds has been paid. Yes, that's what it's in. Keep chewing your bone. Don't pay attention to me. Don't see your shade him. 2 of my friends think you're hot and wish to live in Seattle. Hey, all right. Well, I'm not moving to Ohio, I can tell you that much. No way. No, Ohio's not happening. Poke HS. I will get fat after MOS. Goes with like winning the lotto. Your speech at the presser for the lotto should basically be like, if in 6 months I'm not dead or broke, then I did it wrong. George777, what's the future for MMTLP shares? I don't have much, but big regret not selling at 12. I mean, you could sell at 12, and then you'd have whatever it is you had for them. But I think if they are forced to close positions, the price will go well beyond 12. It sounds like Finra is trying to put the blame on the brokers right now for not taking care of all their short positions that they had. They're, I think, trying to point fingers. And that might have something to do with the fact of the other lawsuits name other parties along with FINRA, whereas Rosa's just names FINRA itself. But if they're forced to close, $12 will be most likely a pittance compared to what you can get paid. Iggy Lamone, have you ever been here? This looks like 45 degrees, 122. Is this Oregon? Is that where we're going? Google Earth. Google Earth. Control V. Bam. Even Florida, I think 122, 45 is Oregon. Portland? Is that where we are? Have you ever been to this spot in Portland? The Buckman, Portland, Oregon. I mean, very likely I've been through here, but I don't know if I've been to Buckman itself. What? The Rimsky Chorus Coffee House? So something here, right there. Can I go that way? I can go this way. And I lost pixels, but maybe I can go that way and gain some pixels. Okay. Keep going. Rimsky Korofsky House. Well, it's kind of like a dilapidated house. It's got a name associated with it. But we got some campers. We got a Kia. I don't know what. Exit Street View. Rimsky Chorus Coffee House. Picture from inside. Must be coffee inside the house. No, I don't think I've ever been there. I've been in and around it, but that particular spot, nah. Have not been. Buckman neighborhood. Nope. Michael Ahero Houston, should the U.S. check their gold reserves if they just have bricks painted with gold paint? That should be what central banks do. They should just take bricks, spray them with gold paint, and just fill up entire like giant safe rooms with it. Simply because who's going to check, right? Well, there's some real gold in there to back it up. You're like, oh, here's some real gold here and there. But you really could be like, yeah, I've got $10 trillion in gold. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're just going to believe me. AR Houston, check KOD 4 trials, phase 3 by August 2023. Baker Brothers CEO, BlackRock, 50% ownership. I don't. Phase 3 for what? I don't know what they do. I will look it up, but I don't know what they do. Wheat Wild, hey, I'm done with my reserve service. Back home with all my creature comforts. 22 days went by quickly. I missed the guys already. All right, well, back to sitting by the pool, relaxing, living it up. No longer out in the little town in the desert, just staring off into space. That's gotta be, it's gotta feel nice to be back, though. Juliana came in half hour late. Did you mention the guy at Credit Suisse blaming retail investors for their collapse? I did not mention it, but I have seen him talk about it. No, Credit Suisse. It was not retail investors who made you give out 30-to-1 margin to Archegos on collateral they already pledged to 4 other banks. That was you, and you alone who did that. And retail investors had nothing to do with you having to margin call Bill Huang. That was you. You did that. It was all you. You. Says 54, Houston, how bad was Reagan as president? Why are Republicans so enamored with him? Reagan, most problems in modern society you can trace back to the Reagan administration. Homelessness crisis, straight up Reagan. He cut the federal funding for pretty much all mental health care facilities. He canceled the program that originally was passed by Kennedy, later got funded by Carter, to basically put a mental health care bed, one bed for every 600 people across the country. Oh, the cat's here. Meow. Hi, buddy. Iran-Contra. I mean, we knew about it for a long time, but it was official. Oh, it's my thigh, cat. Dang it, that was sharp. But the former lieutenant governor of Texas basically confirmed that he and a contingent of Texans on behalf of Reagan Bush went to Iran, negotiated with the Shah to hold the hostages in Iran through the entire 1980 presidential election. And the reason why the hostages were released on Inauguration Day was because that was the deal they struck with the Republicans. And that's what allowed them to get weapons from the United States during the Iran-Contra fiasco, where, we were sending weapons to Iran, sending weapons to the Contras, smuggling drugs to pay for it all. Lots of shitty stuff. A lot of the deregulation of the savings and loans happened then, which caused a savings and loan crisis. The Star Wars program, wasting $1 trillion on space lasers that didn't work. You like that book, Kat? You like sleeping on that book. Yeah. Reagan kind of sucked. The drug war, ignoring the AIDS epidemic, the using an astrologer to make a lot of your decisions because your wife's a cuckoo town. Even if she was a throat goat, she was still bonkers. His nominees for federal judgeships also were pretty terrible. Nominating Bork was awful. But yeah. Jason Blackwell. Hey, Houston, is that red coloring book on your shelf the one above the blue box of tampons? What? Red coloring book. We're talking about... I moved my hand there. That's the map of Colorado. Those are Tupperware containers. These be the maps. So these are the Delorme Atlas Gazetteer. They're okay. They're not the best. They do an all right job mapping things out. Pretty good job with like public lands and stuff. The detail doesn't quite mount up to the benchmark maps. These guys are way better. These ones are fantastic. They also give you lines of longitude and latitude. They point out where old mines are. They have a better job with relief to give you an idea of where the canyons and things are. They also show public and private land. If you're going to do trips off-road, other places, the road and recreation atlases are superior to the Delorme Atlas and Gazetteer. These ones are okay. These ones kick ass. And there's even stuff that is labeled in here that you won't see on like Google Earth, other mapping programs. These ones are superior. And it costs about the same. Let's see here. This one was $19.95. And this one is $24.95. So this one costs $5 more. But it's better. It's worth it. So get the benchmark over the Delorme any day of the week. And these are Ziploc Tupperware containers. They use them to put gems and gems and gold and things in. There. Okay. So, not tampons. If I did have tampons, I'd put them in the bathroom. Okay. Where up? George 777 Houston, do you think MMTLP will trade again after Finra's latest BS? I think we're one step closer. They seem to be torpedoing their entire argument that they made to the federal court. And maybe what they're trying to do is like flaunt their immunity, be like, I can do anything I want. I can say and do anything and you can't sue me because I've got immunity. But lying to the judge seems like a pretty poor way to try and get that immunity done. AR Kodiak Sciences is a biopharmaceutical company committed to researching, developing, and commercializing transformative therapeutics to treat high prevalence retinal diseases. So, kidney stuff? I guess. Rob Elmore, Houston, I had a buddy just tell me that he's been buying a lot of Alaskan Airlines stock. You're from Northwest. What do you think about that? Love to hear your opinion. I mean, I'd rather fly Alaska Airlines than a lot of other airlines. Their seats are better. I have no interest in owning airline stock of any kind ever. So, airline industry seems like a pretty terrible industry to invest in because, for the most part, the C-level executives seem to be crooks. You got to screw over unions constantly. You got the winds of commodity prices, and you desperately need to have like bailouts by the federal government constantly because whenever things are going great, you give all your money away. When things are going bad, you're like, well, time to socialize those losses, collect some bailouts from the government. I just would never invest in an airline. Be wild, Houston. That place is not a desert. Quite the opposite. I'll DM the video tomorrow. Video Twitter. Okay, not desert. I thought you were out in like the southern part, like, and not in the desert, but maybe not. I guess I was wrong. Georgia heard Reagan, like talking head that helped Citizens United become a thing. He helped punk rock explode. Well, there's a silver lining. There you go. Provide a huge target for discontent. BOFH Houston, implied volatility is the approximation for demand on options. Basically, the market makers for options see a bunch of put demand come in, they realize something's up. And they increase the price of the options accordingly to account for the increased risk while they figure out what is going on. Thank you. Applied volatility, the IV. And the IV can also be attributed to the volatility of the stock itself. So the stock goes a lot. The put and call prices are going to be much more expensive. Then, like, SVB going like this at 360 for years means there's no volatility whatsoever. So if you're going to buy puts at $220, the options writers look at that and go, there's no way in hell this thing's ever going to 220 because it stays at 360 forever. So yeah, I'll sell that to you for $1. I got your $1, idiot. And then the next day, boo, you owe me tens of millions of dollars. And the options writers go like this, jump out of a window. Craziness, man. All right. Iglamon, tell them to stay away from Rand McNally atlases. They're literally missing whole towns in some of their maps. I have... Is it this atlas? Yeah, I think it's this one. The World Reference Atlas. I think it's this one. That, like, had all sorts of things mislabeled all over it and towns that don't exist and, like, stuff that was misspellings throughout. I think it was this one. It was absolutely hilarious. But the writing's too small to actually show you. This is National Geographic Atlas of the World is way better. But it's quite hilarious to get an atlas, and you're like, that's not how any of these towns are spelled. That's not where this city is. Who edited this thing? Yeah, I don't know. Someone's grandson. I have no idea. No, not kidney diseases. Oh, retinal, like eyeball diseases. I was thinking renal. Renal's kidney. Eyeball diseases, like macular degeneration. I have no idea what eyeball diseases would be. Retinal. Kitty, do you know? You don't know. But you're a scratchy little dude anyway. Just talking about what we do without this guy. I don't know. Something. Well, I think I'm at. Am I at the end? Well, I made it to the end today. All right, not so bad. Cat, do you enjoy that? Iggy Limon, Houston's recommendations are pretty good. I'm happy with Michelin North America Large Format Atlas 2023. USA, Canada, Mexico for comprehensive atlases. I think it's good to have like a national roadmap atlas because, you know, you can map it out on your GPS app all you want. Well, sometimes you don't get a view of what you're passing by necessarily. And if you like, you know, I'll take this route and follow your finger along the route or use a highlighter to trace it. Highlighters are great. Highlight everything. Then you can go, I can go off, stop at this town and go to this weird tourist trap. I can go to this national park. I can check out this old mine. So it's good to have those maps. And if you get the individual state ones, like those benchmark atlases, you can see like abandoned miners' cabins and things listed in there, and it gets down to a level of detail that you can't even find like in Wikipedia or other internet sources. It's really cool. I highly recommend it. All right. Well, that's it. We got to the bottom of today's show. Monkey, do you have anything to add? Cat, do you have anything to add? Iggy Limon, Houston, you can get highlighter tape and dot stickers if you don't want to mark up your map permanently. That's true. Also, I flipped trucks and my maps have been destroyed and I've had to buy new ones. Like that Utah Atlas. That was like my third Utah Atlas. I've destroyed all the others. They've been smeared over deserts and all sorts of things. Jim asking, opinion on Acme parent company rescheduling earnings call. My guess is that they've got some tricky stuff they got to do with their accounting, figuring out what's worth what, and that's probably why, based upon, you know, the Acme going to Nextbridge. George 777, big catalyst to the market later this year. War will end most likely by the end of summer, being originally from Ukraine and taking too many of my friends from there. I have a feeling that Ukraine is going to have one heck of an air force and a boatload of modern tanks and weapons to do an offensive in June. They'll essentially push back the Russians from the east, and maybe even enough to get into Crimea and kick them out there. And I think if they pull that off by July, you know, pushing those Russians back, then the war is over. Putin's done. Those soldiers that are left will probably turn on the government, and it'll be like 1917 all over again. Revolution, baby. So, did you guys see the Putin double in Mariupol and Crimea this week? Really bad rubber mask. Dude doesn't even look the same. He's got weird skinny legs, different type of shoes, different walking gait, swings his arm too much. It was like constantly fudging with the rubber mask that apparently I'm wearing right now. I'll just adjust my mask here and make sure that's all right. All right. But yeah. Body doubles. Almost as funny as the Melania body doubles that were trotted out. When you guys ever see those? Like all of a sudden Melania like would wear giant sunglasses and be 4 inches shorter. Wave to the crowd. Because my guess is Trump be like, I gotta go to this photo shoot. Melania's like, fuck you. And he had to call up the body double. Well, let's have the body double go. Speaking of which, do you think Trump is going to be indicted tomorrow? He seems to think so. They're setting up a whole bunch of barricades outside of the Municipal Justice Center in downtown Manhattan. Do you think that there's going to be indicted? Is he going to be charged? He's going to have to report and get fingerprinted and cuffed and all that? Man, that'd be crazy. There's been on some, Reddits and 4chans, there's been like calls for violence and calls for, forming a barricade around Mar-a-Lago and whatnot. But then all the ultra MAGA guys are scared that's all FBI agents saying it. So they're like, no, don't do anything. So that seems to be working. So, yeah. Georgia Heard legal as F podcast says quite likely he is. So that's just Manhattan. It sounds like the grand jury in Georgia will also recommend prosecution. So that would also be happening. And then the judge in DC, the DC District Court, the Chief Justice there, received notes from the lawyers pertaining to the classified documents and turned those over to the FBI on her way out. She was like, yeah, the FBI should have this. So that's unprecedented and quite crazy. Man. Only if they can get him off his golden toilet. Jim Acme disavowed George Palakaris' tweet. I don't know what his tweet is that you're talking about, but what tweet is there? Go to... Click on that. We click on George Palakaris. What tweets? Tweeting about batteries, tweeting about giant buildings, tweeting about Best of Show awards, tweeting about reverse splits. This one? Whoops, that's a map. That is not at all. This one here? March 8th? I mean, I don't know if they're disavowing that. I tweeted it out because it seemed like interesting things for the CEO to say. But, we'll see. George, Crimea will remain with Russia, no question about it. Crimea requires water. Well, Crimea is a dry peninsula, so it requires water from the mainland, and it won't take much for the Ukrainians to basically dehydrate everybody that's in Crimea. Be like, and water's off. You guys shall all now die unless you leave. And they'll leave enough of the bridge open for people to flee. And if the Ukrainians are coming, all the Russians who moved into Crimea since 2014 are gone. They'll whine, they'll cry about it, but they will leave. The hard part is going to be getting back citizens who were basically stolen and removed to Russia. Like, there's 250,000, 300,000 kids that were stolen. There were lots of folks who were sent off to like Siberia to go live there with Russian passports and no way to get home. So trying to unite those folks and go through a truth and reconciliation process that's going to be the hard part after this. to figure out, like, okay, who do we put in this house? This house belonged to this family. They're gone now. And there were some Russians living here, and now they're gone. So how do we go about assigning property to folks? And that's going to be a huge process to try and get through. But I have a feeling if Ukraine does a successful enough offensive, they will be able to cut off Crimea from supplies. And basically it'll just be, there's the exit. You can head on that stupid bridge you built and get out. I wouldn't, after what has happened to a lot of towns that the Russians invaded, my feeling is it would be probably best for the Russians that were living in Crimea to GTFO in case, war crime like reprisals would happen there. Probably best for everyone if that's the case. Logic Dustbin, I was wondering who decides the stock gets an options chain. Mostly options writers. As a calculation done for the amount of volume a stock has, the amount of shares available, like its liquidity, and whether it's on the main exchanges or not. And then if they're willing to collect enough shares that they can start writing options for them, that's what they'll do. So you won't get options chains for things like costs where the float's like 2 million shares. There just aren't enough shares available to create an options chain. So they won't do it. Fee runs with AMC. Meta filed an 8K in the morning, so they disavowed it. Oh. Well, okay then. Maybe the board was like, cha. But he didn't delete his tweet. That's still up there. Interesting. Okay. Is that it? Is that all we got for today? I got nothing. I've gone on all the tangents I can go on today. The tree pollen started to kick my butt a little bit. Now it's warm. The cedar trees are jizzing like crazy, so my voice wants to give up really badly right now. Okay. Cool. I'm okay with ending it 10 minutes early today. My throat is dry. Monkey, you're a good dog. Cat, you're an okay cat. All right, everyone. Have a good day. I'll see you Wednesday. Next week is Charity Tuesday. I've not selected a charity yet for Charity Tuesday. So send me your ideas for Charity Tuesday things for next Tuesday, which is the 28th. Charity Tuesday is, yes, 28th, next Tuesday. All right, cool. All right, everyone. Have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. And peace.